I feel like I've been having a lot of success in that, and it's because I go in and I think that they see somebody who's overcome a lot
Yeah.
and is able to be happy and have and have success in life, and they see that it's possible.
Live in the podcast studios with Carlos Vasquez. What's up?
What's going on, bro?
Man, glad to see you here. It's been a minute. Very glad to have you back here. So, people are watching the videos. You can see the SoCal Live podcast, Business Life Success. Man, and you have wrapped a lot of that up just in the last, year. I've watched you just do so much. I mean, it's awesome. It's like a kid, like finding a new, sport or a new hobby, and just being all into it, and it's refreshing and it's inspiring. So, I appreciate you in your life, man, definitely in your walk. It's been great.
I appreciate that too, man. And, just to briefly mention, first of all, thank you for having me here.
Yes, thank you.
But also thank you for, all the life advice that you've given me since day one.
Yeah.
Since day one, since as far back as I can remember, you've always been somebody that I looked to for guidance, mentorship. Nice. Whether I asked or not, I was always gaining something from you. Right. You gain a lot from observing, and I've observed you a lot, come a long way. Through, through the light to the darkness, back into the light.
Yeah.
And, really grateful to have you in my life.
Likewise, man. Definitely. It's been great. It's been a journey, right? We've just been learning and this journey's been pretty cool. So your story, as many people who know who follow, but for those who don't, I don't want to be redundant, but I'm sure you hear it a lot. Carlos, you did 17 years, right? In the penitentiary.
Yeah. 17 years penitentiary.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was physical confinement, but I would say I was locked up mentally way longer than 17 years. But 17 years locked up physically in the penitentiary.
And you've been out how long now?
21 months.
21 months.
Yeah.
Man. And you've done, I can't even believe it. Like within just the first few weeks, I think already, month or so, you were going back in there speaking, or how did that work? What was like the beginning of all this?
Yeah, so I got out, before I even got out, I made a list of everything I wanted to get out and accomplish.
Okay.
And I looked at that list every day and I started visualizing how I can get there.
Yeah.
And, I got out with literally nothing, besides the $200 they give you gate money. And, but I did get out with a ton of people, that were there to, guide me and to give me the, the wisdom and the knowledge I needed to now go out in the world and implement on these dreams.
Okay.
And to me, that's more valuable than just handing me, a bunch of money.
Man,
it's the education that I was looking for. So once I got out, open to that, I took all the steps necessary to start implementing on my list. And one of the things on my list was to go back in, and to bring hope to the rest of the men that were in there that I had left behind. And so. Yeah, I think I set a record. The warden, when I went back in, he was like, nobody's ever come back into prison this quick. I was still on parole, and I went in there, saw the same guys I had just left.
Wow. Same place. What are the
same
chances?
Place, same yard.
Did you try to hit that, or it wasn't a coincidence? You tried to go to that place, right?
Well, yeah, I knew I wanted to go back in, but specifically that place, I thought it would be impossible, but when I got out, and I was like, you know what, I got to stop thinking that things are impossible.
Man, yeah.
And so when I was like, let me go for it.
Okay.
And I was able to get back in within 30 days of getting out. Yeah.
So okay, so how long was that now? Since you went back there?
Okay, so
that you were out.
Yeah. So the last time I went back in.
Yeah.
So okay, yeah. So
no, I'm sorry. How long was it since the time you got out to the first time you went back in there to speak, right?
Oh yeah. So I went back in about it's about 30 days almost out of 30. Yeah, after getting out.
Wow.
Yeah.
But you had this all planned prior to your release.
Yeah, I had it planned out, and I knew it was something I wanted to do.
Yeah.
But I didn't know how I was going to do it.
You just had it in your mind. You were just going to come back and speak to people, whether it was there or anywhere.
Yeah, because I knew people that were already coming back in.
Yeah.
Even when I was inside prison, people were coming back in, but they had already been out for a long period of time.
Okay.
So I figured it was going to take me a while. And, I thought it was going to be years before I was able to get back in, but I never imagined it would be that quick.
Wow.
But yeah, it just goes to show that, like, sometimes, you're moving at a pace thinking things are going to take longer than they are, but they happen quicker.
Yeah.
So you have to be ready to now go like, okay, well, I accomplished that. Now what's next?
Yeah. So now you're telling me you're going into high schools now, and you've gone into other prisons besides that one, right?
Yeah.
Okay. How many?
So I've been into 2 different prisons since I've been out.
Okay.
To speak, I went to a coaching event one time as well, to do workshops.
Yeah. And then now you're, like I was saying, getting into high schools, right?
Yeah.
And different junior high or anything lower than that, or just high schools or?
Yeah. So high schools, colleges, universities.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. As well as churches.
Which universities have you gone to?
So I went to LMU.
Okay.
Loyola Marymount University, and I spoke there. And that's, the one that it's crazy because when I went back in to speak there, I was speaking to a group of psychology, master's degree students.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So speaking to them about, the people that they're going to go out there and ultimately serve.
Okay.
Yeah. So talking to them, doing a workshop with them.
Wow.
Yeah, helping to get a better understanding of the people that they're going to work with.
Man.
So yeah, that was the main one. And then I also went in and spoke at USC to a group of people there.
Who were they?
So they were like all people who are like supporters of prison reform, supporters of, organizations that serve the underserved community.
Okay.
Stuff like that. So there was an event there that I was able to speak at.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Okay. And then, so with the high schools, I keep seeing online, right, on your social media. By the way, what's your social media? What's your Instagram tag right now?
Oh yeah, so my Instagram is at How to Battle. Yeah, and then my website is howtobattle.com. So that my website links to all my other social media.
Okay, cool.
Everything that I'm doing. Yeah.
Okay, so going back to the kids, I mean, that's awesome, man. I mean, you're just what an inspiration, it's so great of you to do what you're doing, just the heart of that is very rare, extremely rare, so we appreciate that definitely. So yeah, with the kids, what's I know you wrote a book, and then when you go in front of these high school students, do you have some type of, list that you go through with them or anything you give them? How does that work?
Yeah. So the high school kids that I've been working with, majority of them are 11th, 12th graders.
Okay.
Getting ready to either graduate or they're striving to graduate. They're going into the workforce.
Okay.
And so I go in, and I work with them with a lot of life skill stuff.
All right.
So things that they're going to go, mainly mindset, because that's a lot of stuff they don't teach you in school. How to deal with the mindset of being rejected, how to get your confidence up, how to properly communicate with people, how to get through them self-limiting beliefs, how to develop the growth mindset, the things that ultimately going with the education are going to get you to where you want to get to and to help you achieve success. So I work with them through that.
Okay.
And a lot of them are coming from underserved communities.
Mm-hmm.
So I identify with them a lot as far as like, the environment that they're growing up in, the challenges that are coming outside of school.
Okay.
They have to deal with. And, I feel like I've been having a lot of success in that. And it's because I go in and, I think that they see somebody who's overcome a lot and is able to, be happy and have, and have success in life. And they see that it's possible.
Yeah.
That you don't have to come from privilege to be successful. You can, come from, the ground up.
Yeah.
So I work with them and inspire and motivate them too.
So when you go to speak to them, to the kids specifically, what does it sound like? Like, what do you open up with? And then what do you tell them? Almost like you're doing it right now. Like, what's the whole gig there?
Yeah. So initially, I always introduce myself, and I'm really open about my story. Everybody knows that. Really open about it. And I get that point across first that I'm an open book. So I could only tell you so much in a short period of time, but if you have any questions about my life or specific things that happen in my life, feel free to ask me about that.
Sure.
And they know that requires that I'm vulnerable. And I think that's one of the first lessons that I try to get across to them is to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because that's where change starts to occur when you're a vulnerable person. And a lot of them don't want to be vulnerable at first.
Yeah.
But by the end, normally of the programs that I do, most of them are willing to open up and become vulnerable. So I develop a trust with them first.
Yeah.
That's the most important thing.
Sure.
And once that trust is established, and then I'm able to start going into the actual work itself. And each one is different. Each workshop, I kind of like create them depending on the audience, depending on where they're at, what we're trying to convey to them. But ultimately, I think that no matter what it is, the first thing is to get them open and comfortable with learning first from me.
Yeah.
And then once that happens, then, they can be able to get as much as they can from the content itself.
Yeah.
And then always tell them, ask follow-up questions, always do research outside of our workshops and outside of my speaking. And really just give them that motivation to actually do things. The real work happens outside of these classes.
Yeah.
That's where the real work happens. And
sure.
So for me, it's leaving them every time with the feeling that they need to go do more work.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my goal.
So for the kids that are listening right now that are in high school that you haven't had a chance to speak with, again, kind of maybe a little more like, what do you tell them specifically? Because I've known you since you were young, and I know the things you've had to overcome before you even got to the streets and all that, just your, lack of leadership, the right kind of leadership in your home, having other parts of life, creep in, right?
Yeah.
And take that leadership role. So do you talk about that, because people like, oh, Upland, Rancho Cucamonga, that, and it's those are, higher end places to a lot of people, but they don't understand maybe some of the struggles like that you've been through there that got you to where you were and now to where you are. Obviously, that's a mindset, right? So, so what do you share with them? Who are you trying to relate to when you talk to them about your story starting out?
Yeah. So I always tell them, first of all, like, well, not just them, but the other people I work with, the adults that I started off in a good neighborhood, with both of my parents.
Yeah.
Life was good, all the way up till about 12, 13 years old, and everything changed.
Yeah.
Everything started to change, and so anybody can be affected by something, right? Sure. And then that could just spiral you down into getting into a dark place. So I think that's number one thing is like knowing that anybody can be impacted by trauma, and then that can take you down.
Yeah.
So knowing that anybody I work with understands that could be them, So first of all, just knowing that we all can go through something, but also that we all can come up from that.
Yeah.
We can rise above that.
Sure.
And so a lot of the things I talk to them about is being okay with, failure.
Yeah.
Failure, being okay with the idea that trauma occurs to everybody.
Right.
We come into this world in a traumatic fashion. Birth itself is trauma.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
sure.
And then not only that, if you go to the hospital one time, you've experienced trauma.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to go through it. So being more comfortable with it, knowing that trauma is going to come.
Yeah.
Stress is going to come. Setbacks and failures are going to come.
Yeah.
But it's all about how we respond to those things.
Right.
So that's what I teach them is just, first of all, knowing that these things are normal, knowing that these things are going to happen, that you're going to go through them along your journey, but it's all about how you respond to it.
Sure.
That's how you're able to overcome it, and then different ways to help them overcome it.
Yeah.
Like finding a purpose, finding a reason to get up in the morning, their why, because knowing their purpose and their why is going to help them get through those days that they don't want to get up.
Yeah.
It's going to help them get through those days when they feel like giving up and they're stressed out.
Yeah.
Knowing that it's something bigger than just them
out
there that they need to go accomplish. And so, teaching them that and self-discipline.
I like that.
You got to have self-discipline in whatever you're doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I notice in a lot of your videos, you talk about discipline a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to have discipline because discipline is going to get you through those days when your coach, mentor, when I'm not there to push you.
Or when you don't feel like it.
Yeah.
If you don't feel motivated that day or whatever, that discipline, right, pushes you through it.
Exactly. It's all about discipline. And,
That's awesome.
and then you just look at the statistics, and I always like to do that too, just to kind of see. And, you look at the world, like most of the successful people in the world are disciplined people.
Yeah.
If you look at their history, going back into their childhood, they were either in some type of form of disciplinary in their life, whether it was sports, whether it was the military, whether it was martial arts. And so that's not a coincidence. So I teach them to get involved in organizations that require you to be disciplined, because I can help you develop that.
Yeah.
And then
being committed to something, no matter
being
what.
Commitment. And having people hold you accountable.
Yeah.
A lot of these kids go home and they're in a toxic environment about people who don't hold them accountable.
Yeah.
And so all they do is sit at home all day and watch videos and don't accomplish anything.
Sure.
But if they go to a place after school, like be a part of a sport or something, that's going to help them develop that.
Nice.
And then they develop a routine.
And
then that routine with discipline combined and the mindset to know that you're okay with failure, that's going to lead them on a path to find success.
Yeah, a lot of younger kids that I've mentored back in the day, a lot of them don't know what they want to do, and they feel like they're not good at anything, right? And so I try to offer them stuff like working out, because you ain't got to be good to work out, right? I mean, all you got to do is just push a weight, learn how to breathe. And so I've noticed a lot of kids, they enjoy something like that. So, is there, what do you try to push on the kids? Like I'm sure you met kids that just, they think they're no good, right? Like, I'm not good at anything. I don't want to do anything. I don't know what to do. Just before that point where they're hopeless, I don't think anyone's hopeless, but that's some other trauma. But just for the kids that maybe just don't feel like they're good at anything, or they just don't have this inspiration to do anything specifically, what do you offer to them?
Yeah, that's a great question, because I think that it goes even beyond kids, like so many adults feel that way. Yeah. And I know I felt that way well into my 30s. I didn't really figure out what my purpose was until I was in my 30s. Wow. And so people need to know that it doesn't matter your age, just it's never too late to figure it out. But I think the thing is that you have to do is first start to listen to your body and your mind, right? Start to work on yourself first, because if you work on yourself, meaning that you start to focus more on what you're doing, you know, so like you said, working out. So, you work on yourself physically, and then you start working on yourself mentally, and you can do that through multiple ways, like reading and meditating and just sitting there and thinking. Okay. Right. And then start listening to like what like you naturally feel yourself attracted to. Yeah. Like, what do you feel like an urge to go do? Yeah. Like, when you close your eyes, what can you visualize yourself doing? Sure. And then visualizing that, and you're happy in that moment. Yeah. Right. So that's a sign. That's there for a reason. There's something in your DNA that's telling you that you were placed on this earth to go do something either related to that, or you need to go pursue that. Yeah. So I just tell them, and I say, start to, listen to yourself and ask yourself questions, and then start exploring. Yeah. Don't be afraid to get out there and try things. Yeah. Those things that maybe you have this want to go, let's say you have a want to do a podcast, right? That's kind of like something that you're into. You listen to them, you like them, you can visualize yourself doing them. So start exploring that. Sure. Okay. Start getting into that and seeing what manifests, because you'll find your way once you start going and trying things. Got it. So, yeah. Yeah. Meet more people and kind of, if you're in action, the things happen as you go. Yeah. People miss that, because they get so caught up, right, and doing and thinking about it, and then they don't do it. And it's actually when you do it when all these things start to align, if you will. So we're talking about a lot of the advice you give the kids and the things that you've done. But what about what you're doing right now? Like, what is your daily lifestyle? Like when you wake up, for more or less, I know different days are different, but I know you're you talk about discipline, and you're probably under, I don't know about a tight schedule, but somewhat of a schedule, to reach the goals that you've set. And then we'll talk about those after, your future goals. But what are you doing? Like, what's your daily, Yeah. I'm very disciplined. And it changes. That's what I've also known, that is like, as you go through life, you change, and you start to like learn more about yourself and what works best for you. When I first got out, I was readjusting, and I tried a lot of different things that I would see other successful people doing, which is like, okay, you get up at 4:30 in the morning, immediately start working out because then you'll get energy. And so all that, like, and so, not to say that doesn't work, but I started trying things. Like I said before, you got to try stuff.
Yeah.
And for me, I realized that, what works for one person may not work as best for me.
Sure.
And I teach that as well to the people that I mentor and coach, is that figure out what works for you. So for me, when I get up in the morning, that's like, I feel like my brain is like at top notch at that time.
Yeah.
So I immediately go and I start reading. That's the first thing to do. After I pray and after I meditate and after I visualize in my brain, I just kind of like, I'm in silence. I go and I start reading and I write in my journal.
Okay.
So for me, like, I feel like, because that's when I need to do that.
Okay.
Right? So I figured that out.
What's going on in the journal?
Yeah. So as I'm reading through whatever I'm reading, whatever book I'm reading, I'm writing down stuff in the journal that I feel that I want to learn more about. I'm also writing down quotes. I'm also writing down things that I feel like I need to remember. I'm listening to my mind when it's telling me that's important.
Yeah.
I write that down.
Okay.
And then later on, I may utilize that later in whether I'm sharing it with somebody else.
Yeah.
I might use that later when I'm speaking.
Sure.
So like I'm constantly, and then also something that I need to refer to later to remind me, of a certain thing that I need to do. So I'm keeping notes. So of the thoughts that are coming into my brain.
Nice.
So yeah, I'm doing that. Yeah. And then, I go into my day and, I start to, go out, but the night before I've already scheduled what I'm going to do that day. So I go over my list of stuff that I need to do.
Okay.
And a lot of times that requires for me to do a bunch of emails, for me to start reaching out to people, for me to do work that I got to do. So I get right into that. I get right to work. And then, I go into, after that, like probably like about, 9 a.m. I go work out.
Okay.
So for me, that's a good time.
All right.
Nice. So like I that's what I mean is like you learn yourself.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And you figure out what works best for you.
Right.
I was talking to a guy yesterday who's super successful, and he says his best time to work is at night.
Okay.
So he's up all night working.
Oh, nice.
And he's super successful, and he knows other people that are like that. Yeah. So that's what I mean. There's no right or wrong way.
Sure. Yeah.
And I think that's important because a lot of people feel that, if I can't get up and work out, then you feel less than, like, I'm not as good as everybody else. Yeah. No, just figure out what works for you.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So I go work out, and then, I'm, nice. As I'm working out, I'm always listening to like motivational videos and motivational stories because, as a motivational speaker, I always like to hear what other people are talking about. Yeah. And seriously, like, I'm inspired and motivated, what I try to do for others, I need in my own life.
Sure.
That helps me, get focused, and it helps me to remember like where I'm trying to go in life and get through those tough days.
Yeah.
So, and then, after that, I go on and I continue to work. Whether I have to go meet with somebody, whether I got to travel somewhere.
Okay.
I'm always on the go networking with somebody.
Nice.
But I pretty much work 90% of my life.
Yeah.
But for me, work, the things I do, it doesn't really feel like work.
Right.
Because I love it.
Yeah. You're on the path you want to be on. Yeah. So it's all, I don't know, experience, and fun and learning. And I love that. So you're working all of this together for, I'm sure, specific goals because you're into self-growth, and I'm sure, you've sat down and really visualized and what you meditate on and whatnot. Yeah. So what's the specific goals more or less? Like, what are you trying, other than, I know I know you live life to the fullest every day. I mean, every day's a goal. But do you have like a vision for the end, like results? Yeah.
So, just to kind of like go back, let's say go back about 8 months, right? Go back 8 months. My goals at that point were to write a book.
Okay.
And my goal was to incorporate my business. My goal was to write a short film, that I'm going to direct, and to start a podcast.
Okay.
Start interviewing people. So that was back then. And so, today, like I said, applying self-discipline, applying, everyday routines, applying everyday learning and growth, I was able to accomplish those things.
Nice.
So, I got the book done, I got the short film script done. Yeah. So now it's time to direct it. I got the podcast up and running, doing interviews, and, got my business incorporated. So now, like, that's where I've accomplished those things, just some of the stuff that I set out to accomplish.
Nice.
And so now going forward is to start writing another book, right?
Okay.
Because I don't want to just be a guy who wrote a book. I want to be an author.
Got it.
So,
nice.
And then now it's to take that short film script that I wrote and go actually now direct it, get the funding, get the backing, get the production team, and direct it. So
that's an actor.
Yeah, exactly.
And I got that guy.
Oh yeah,
that lives in here, and he's a movie producer and actor. So
yeah,
and then Steve, and across the hallway from Logic Media, him as well. He writes movies and does stuff. So I mean, could be that's a good little network right there for sure.
Yeah, so that's what I mean. Like now that I have this completed script, and not only that, I have a director's vision to go with that.
Okay.
To be able to explain what I'm going to do and how I visualize it happening. And now, like, hey, contact people, reach out to people, network, see who wants to be a part of this,
nice.
and then make it happen. But that's what I mean, like setting continuous goals. And now with my business, like now going forward with that is to continue to grow it, continue to get more coaching, positions and mentoring positions.
Got it.
And then my goal for How to Battle is to be able to employ people who are getting out of prison or have been in prison, employ them to come in as coaches.
Okay.
And train them and help them become effective coaches, because I want to be able to give the people who are getting out another opportunity like I've been getting. So that's the goal going forward with that. Yeah. And then I have a bunch of opportunities to pitch to investors coming up, that might want to, invest into my business and stuff. So I got those lined up to grow the business. That's always a goal, always growing. And then, continue to work on myself, always trying to get better mentally, always trying to get better physically, always trying to become a better person.
Sure.
I mean, those are goals as well.
And,
to continue to make my impact, that's my mission in life, is to continue to inspire and continue to provide hope for people and to teach people and to hold them accountable. And that's my mission. And so continue to do that.
Yeah. You're definitely passionate about it, and that's what it takes. And that's what people know are real. Yeah. And I'm sure they are receiving that energy, that you put off, man. And I think that's great. It's very inspiring, like I said. So talk about your book a little bit.
Yeah. So my book, my book is called The Price.
Okay.
And it's an acronym for 5 principles that I applied in my life to help me overcome trauma when I was inside, as well as, even now to this day, that I utilized. And, Price stands for 5 principles that I believe that one needs to inquire into their life to be able to not only reach success, but be able to deal with the trauma that sometimes holds you back from getting to that success.
Wow.
Right. So the first one is purpose, figuring out what your purpose is, figuring out what your why is, what moves you every day. Right. Because that's going to get you through that tough time. And then the R stands for routine, creating a routine, a solid routine to get to that. Right. You got to be in a routine. So that's the second thing. The I is for inspiring, find something that inspires you.
Love it.
You got to find something. Like when I was in prison, I was inspired by the people who were getting out. And then I was hearing through the grapevine that were getting out and doing great things.
Nice.
That was keeping me inspired to continue going. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then the C is for confidence, right? So you want to be able to build your confidence up. And by building your confidence up means you got to step out of your comfort zone, meaning you have to try new things, right? Means you have to start like working on yourself to believe in yourself, and that requires physical as well as mental.
Right.
So building your confidence up, because if you get in better shape, you become more confident.
Yeah.
If you gain more intelligence, you become more confident. When you go speak to people who may be intelligent as well.
Right.
And then lastly is the E is for education. Continuing to self-educate every day. You should spend time educating, because as we know, this fast-paced world, you got to keep up, with what's going on. And so it's like, you got to continue to educate yourself. And so I outlined those things in a book. And I was inspired to write this book by the kids that I mentor and coach, because I wanted to have something to give them. It's easy for them to read, but they can be able to start to, put that change that they need in their life and process. So inspired to write it by them.
That's great.
Yeah.
What a message. Got to pay the price.
Yeah.
Woo!
The price. Yeah.
Man.
So it's the price.
You've always been a good writer.
Yeah. I appreciate that.
That's good, man. Yeah. That's good. And then, so the second book, what's that? What's that going to be?
Yeah, so I want to do a book. Really, there's 3 books that I want to do.
Okay.
And right now, the way I work is I'm working on all 3 at one time.
Okay.
In a sense, right? So
sure.
I always wanted to do a children's book, so I'm working on a children's book.
Okay.
And I feel that I want this book to be, with illustrations as well, because it's going to be something that I've always wanted to do. Because I don't know if I told you, but I work sometimes with, my kids in elementary school as well.
Okay.
I do workshops for them on writing. I do workshops with them on mindset stuff.
Yeah.
So I want to have something for them, something for them. So cool. I'm always inspired by somebody to write these things.
Yeah.
Just like music when we used to do it.
Yeah.
How when we used to write songs and stuff, it was always inspired by something.
Yeah.
Even if it was like a negative lifestyle we were living, it was still inspired by
sure.
You lose a homeboy and then you inspired to write a song about him.
Yeah.
Same thing with the books.
Yeah.
So
that.
That's one of the books. The second book, I want to do a book, like a 365-day book where every day you read a page of that book.
Okay.
And then you have like a place that you can also journal. So basically like what I do every day is I get up and read and journal.
Yeah.
But I want to structure it in a book, and it's going to be self-help, self-improvement. So things that people that can go into their day either doing like an action step, or even just like a mindset shift that they can take into their day. So it's a 365-day journey book.
All right.
Yeah, and then the other one is going to be about, my life and how religion played a big part in that, like getting me through my hard times and helping me even after I got out.
Nice.
Some of my best friends today I met in the church.
Nice. Okay.
So I want to be able to do a book on that and how God played such a huge role on my life and my beliefs.
That's great.
And so those are the 3 books
right on, man.
working on. Yeah.
Looking forward to those for sure.
Yeah.
And those are all called what the acronym is, right?
Well, no. So the acronym, that book, The Price, that book, it's out right now. So it's already out. But the other books are they're going to all have their own separate different titles. So
okay.
Yeah.
There you go. Books, Carlos Vasquez, The Price, right? That's what it's called. They go on there. Yeah. So just Amazon, right?
Yeah. You can go on Amazon. The link is in my website. You can go on there.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great, man. So anything else? So you said you had an event coming up here pretty soon, right? You have an event?
Yeah. So actually Saturday.
Wow.
This Saturday we're having a event. We call it a Go and See. And what it is so, the kids that I mentor.
Yeah.
I do 3 different groups of kids, 3 different classes, and 3 times a week. And I work with them over Zoom. They're all in different schools throughout Los Angeles. And so every month we get together. So they come in on buses from different schools. Okay. Like 150 kids. They come in and we meet up at a place and we give them like real world experiences. We give them opportunities to make connections.
Nice.
We do like different programs. So they're coming in Saturday to a place at Los Angeles to where they'll be able to do like mock interviews. Okay. So there'll be tables set up and we'll be there and they have to come up and introduce themselves and shake our hands and like they're going to a real interview. So it's that real world experience that they're going to get.
Wow.
And then we like go back and forth and we see that, what they've gained because we've been working together for many, many months now. So it's kind of to see if they've grasped the things that we've been teaching them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so we have that coming up on Saturday. Yeah.
I asked you earlier who was the people doing the interview, and you were saying that they're people in the armed services, right?
Yeah. So people in the military, in the military will be there, and then you also have like entrepreneurs, people in the medical field, doctors, all these people who are actually doing the things that these kids are thinking about doing.
Wow.
So they could ask questions. They can actually get their phone number and have like a contact now. Yeah. Another mentor. So. Providing them with opportunities and people that can help them get one step closer to them finding their success and what they want to do.
That's really cool.
Yeah, we do that every month. So we're doing that Saturday.
I noticed some pictures too, like with you and some other men that have a similar, background as yours, as far as, the prison system and whatnot. Yeah. What are you doing in that area right there with those guys? Are they just someone you just reconnecting with, or are they doing stuff as well?
Yeah, so typically when somebody that I know from the inside gets out, I always go pick them up and I take them out and I'm their coach.
Yeah.
I'm their coach. Like unofficially, I'm their coach. Like, obviously I'm not going to charge them. Obviously I'm not,
right.
You know, that's me just giving back.
Sure.
You know, that's me giving back, and, you know, just giving them valuable advice as they go forward, because I remember getting fresh out, how that felt.
Yeah.
And so now I pick them up, I take them out. You know, if I'm going to do like a podcast or recording, I take them, and expose them to that.
Yeah.
And like maybe help them figure out what they want to do.
Sure.
You know, and I work with them and I talk to them all the time. So if you see pictures with me with guys formerly incarcerated, it's because either, you know, we're friends and we've been out for a while and we're just catching up, or we're taking out one of our friends that just got out and being his support system.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
sure.
Yeah.
That's really cool. How many people have got out, like, since you've been out, that you've been able to see?
Wow, it's amazing. I'm gonna say probably about 5.
Okay.
Five, and I think the most, all 4 out of 5 were lifers.
Oh wow.
So yeah, 4 of the 5 were lifers, and I got many more coming out.
How are they doing? How are those guys doing?
They're all doing good.
Yeah.
They're all doing good, and you know, but they're doing good because they did the work before they got out. You know, they're mentally, they're ready to get out and do good and want to do good. And it's just about helping them find their opportunities to grow, and then figuring out, you know, what they ultimately want to accomplish and helping them get on that path. And so, yeah, they're all doing good.
That's cool, man. That's great.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's a lot, you know, we've talked about a lot, and, I don't know, is there anything else you want to share? Any other thoughts, last thoughts, or?
I think that, you know, being that, like, you know, this is a great, subject matter for a show, right?
SoCal Live Podcast.
Yeah, SoCal
Business,
Live.
Success. And this is just you know, you grew up here, Southern California, man, so you know how it is.
Yeah. And I think it all those things play a huge role in my life, you know, business, life, success. And I think that it's an amazing platform, you know, and even for people who, you know, may not be into like business, you know, is like everybody, I believe, wants to achieve a level of personal success, right? And personal success is what's successful to you. You know, it's like your own definition of what that means.
Yeah.
And I think also, you know, the business part of it is, if you're not into business, that I think everybody can learn something from business. Absolutely. Or a person that's in business.
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
So I love that. And then life, of course, like, you know, life is amazing. Life shouldn't be taken for granted.
Yeah.
You know, life should be appreciated even through the struggles, you know, because normally, you know, when you go through struggle, you come out of that a better person.
Sure.
And so I love the concept, and definitely want to come back whenever you ask me to.
Yeah, definitely. I appreciate that. Yeah, and the business thing, right? Everything should be around, like your home should be like a business, right? You got to know how much you could spend, how much you're getting, how much time to spend with everybody, right? Life, it's all about life, success. You know, some people, they don't success, you know, but I mean, everyone has to feel some type of worth, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so that's great, man. And you're definitely an inspiration to me. For this actual podcast, because I just see how consistent you are with your content, always doing something, always out there helping, you know, and now with Steve over here from Pro Logic Media, you know, he's helping me out a lot, and he's kind of got that same spirit, you know, he's just out there trying to make it happen, you know, and I think it's awesome. Yeah. All right, Carlos. Well, I appreciate you being here. Carlos Vasquez, How to Battle, and then Anthony Garibay with the Podcast Studios. This is the podcast, SoCal Live Podcast, Business, Life, Success. Thank you for listening. Thank you, Carlos.
Thank you.